Once upon a time, a teenager discovered she was missing a piece of jewelry. After searching for it for several hours to no avail, she accused her father of taking it. She had no evidence he took it, but she lived at home and her father was physically capable of walking into her room and stealing it. Therefore, she concluded he was responsible for its disappearance. Do you agree with her conclusion? Hopefully you can see the flaw in her thinking. Just because her father was physically capable of stealing her jewelry doesn't mean he did. Unfortunately, we humans have a tendency to make similar baseless accusations against God. When life goes awry, we start blaming God and asking why he doesn't make life rosy. But what if God did not cause our problems? Should we be blaming God if he isn't the source of our troubles? Thanks for watching this episode of BibleMountain.com. This episode is part of a series of studies in the book of Job called Why Do People Suffer? In today's episode, we are going to look at a time in Job's life when he started blaming God for something God didn't do. After reading about Job's false accusation, we'll examine whether or not we do the same thing and how we can avoid falling into that trap. The book of Job begins by telling us Job was the greatest and wealthiest man in the East. He was so great that when Satan appeared before God, God bragged about Job. Satan insisted Job had a shallow loyalty to God, so God allowed Satan to test Job. Hence, Satan went out and killed Job's children, destroyed all Job's possessions, and struck Job with boils from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. After Job's calamity, Job's 3 friends came to comfort Job, and the 4 men had a lengthy dialogue about the cause of Job's calamity. None of these men knew what had transpired between God and Satan, so they really didn't know the true cause of Job's calamity, but that didn't stop them from pretending they knew. Job spoke first, then Eliphaz, then Job, then Bildad, then Job, and then Zophar. Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar tried to convince Job he was suffering because he had sinned, while Job insisted he was innocent. That brings us to today's passage in which Job spoke once again. Let's start at Job 12, verse 1. Then Job responded. Notice the word responded. Job was responding to his 3 friends who were telling him if he would confess and repent, then he would prosper. Job started his response with criticism of his friends. Verse 2. Truly then you are the people, and with you wisdom will die. But I have intelligence as well as you. I am not inferior to you. And who does not know such things as these? I am a joke to my friends. The one who called on God and he answered him, the just and blameless man is a joke. He who is at ease holds calamity in contempt, as prepared for those whose feet slip. The tents of the destroyers prosper, and those who provoke God are secure, whom God brings into their power. Notice Job's complaint that he was suffering while wicked people were prospering. Next, Job stated it was God who caused his calamity. Then Job went on to describe God's power. Verse 7. But now ask the beasts, and let them teach you, and the birds of the heavens, and let them tell you. Or speak to the earth, and let it teach you, and let the fish of the sea declare to you. Who among all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? Let me emphasize this because this was Job's central thesis. Job believed God had caused his calamity, and everything else Job said was based on this belief. Job continued, In whose hand is the life of every living thing and the breath of all mankind? Does not the ear test words as the palate tastes its food? Wisdom is with aged men, with long life is understanding. With God are wisdom and might. To him belong counsel and understanding. Notice the pronoun him refers to God. Keep in mind that Job was not inspired when he said this. Inspiration and inerrancy mean the author of Job inerrantly recorded what Job said. That doesn't mean Job was correct in what he said. Therefore, we can't use the following verses to form our beliefs about God. Instead, these verses tell us what Job believed about God. Job continued. Verse 14. Behold, God tears down and it cannot be rebuilt. He imprisons a man and there can be no release. Behold, he restrains the waters and they dry up, and he sends them out and they inundate the earth. With him are strength and sound wisdom. The misled and the misleader belong to him. He makes counselors walk barefoot and makes fools of judges. He loosens the bond of kings and binds their loins with a girdle. He makes priests walk barefoot and overthrows the secure ones. He deprives the trusted ones of speech and takes away the discernment of the elders. He pours contempt on nobles and loosens the belt of the strong. He reveals mysteries from the darkness and brings the deep darkness into light. He makes the nations great, then destroys them. He enlarges the nations, then leads them away. He deprives of intelligence the chiefs of the earth's people and makes them wander in a pathless waste. The chiefs of the earth grope in darkness with no light, and God makes them stagger like a drunken man. Notice what Job did here. Job had concluded God was the cause of his calamity, and his conclusion was based on his belief that God was all-powerful. However, just because God is all-powerful and had the ability to cause Job's calamity does not mean God was the cause of Job's calamity. Next, Job went on a random, aimless tangent, alternating between criticism of his friends and declarations of his desire to argue with God. He wanted to argue with God because he believed God was causing his calamity. Job 13, verse 1. Behold, my eye has seen all this, my ear has heard and understood it. What you know, I also know. I am not inferior to you. But I would speak to the Almighty, and I desire to argue with God. But you smear with lies. You are all worthless physicians. Oh, that you would be completely silent, and that silence would become your wisdom. Please hear my argument, and listen to the contentions of my lips. Will you speak what is unjust for God, and speak what is deceitful for him? Will you show partiality for him? Will you contend for God? Will it be well when he examines you, or will you deceive him as one deceives a man? He will surely reprove you if you secretly show partiality. Will not his majesty terrify you, and the dread of him fall on you? Your memorable sayings are proverbs of ashes. Your defenses are defenses of clay. Be silent before me so that I may speak. Then let come on me what may. Why should I take my flesh in my teeth and put my life in my hands? Though he slay me, I will hope in him. Nevertheless, I will argue my ways before him. This also will be my salvation, for a godless man may not come before his presence. Listen carefully to my speech, and let my declaration fill your ears. Behold now, I have prepared my case. I know that I will be vindicated. Who will contend with me? For then I would be silent and die. At this point, Job started speaking directly to God. Job believed God had caused his calamity, so Job asked for and somewhat demanded relief from his agony. Verse 20. Only two things do not do to me, then I will not hide from your face. Remove your hand from me, and let not the dread of you terrify me. Then call, and I will answer. Or let me speak, then reply to me. How many are my iniquities and sins? Make known to me my rebellion and my sin. Why do you hide your face and consider me your enemy? Will you cause a driven leaf to tremble, or will you pursue the dry chaff? For you write bitter things against me and make me to inherit the iniquities of my youth. You put my feet in the stocks and watch all my paths. You set a limit for the soles of my feet. While I am decaying like a rotten thing, like a garment that is moth-eaten. Next, Job stated his beliefs about the futility of life. Job believed that since God is all-powerful and since God afflicts the innocent while leaving wicked people prosper, then life is futile. Job 14, verse 1. Man, who is born of woman, is short-lived and full of turmoil. Like a flower he comes forth and withers. He also flees like a shadow and does not remain. You also open your eyes on him and bring him into judgment with yourself. Who can make the clean out of the unclean? No one. Since man's days are determined, the number of his months is with you, and his limits you have set so that he cannot pass. Turn your gaze from him that he may rest until he fulfills his day like a hired man. For there is hope for a tree, when it is cut down, that it will sprout again and its shoots will not fail. Though its roots grow old in the ground and its stump dries in the dry soil, At the scent of water, the tree will flourish and put forth sprigs like a plant. But man dies and lies prostrate. Man expires, and where is he? As water evaporates from the sea and a river becomes parched and dried up, so man lies down and does not rise. Until the heavens are no longer, he will not awake nor be aroused out of his sleep. And then Job started talking about himself again. Verse 13. Oh, that you would hide me in Sheol, that you would conceal me until your wrath returns to you, that you would set a limit for me and remember me. If a man dies, will he live again? All the days of my struggle I will wait until my change comes. You will call, and I will answer you. You will long for the work of your hands. For now you number my steps, you do not observe my sin. My transgression is sealed up in a bag, and you wrap up my iniquity. And then Job finished by speaking once again of the futility of life. Verse 18. But the falling mountain crumbles away, and the rock moves from its place. Water wears away stones, its torrent wash away the dust of the earth, so you destroy man's hope. You forever overpower man, and he departs. You change his appearance and send him away. His sons achieve honor, but he does not know it, or they become insignificant, but he does not perceive it. But his body pains him, and he mourns only for himself. And that is the end of Job's speech. Let's go back to Job's central thesis. Early in this passage, Job 12:9, Job said, "The hand of the Lord has done this." This referred to Job's calamity, the death of his children, the loss of all his possessions, and his poor health. Job's friends had told Job he was suffering because of sin, but Job's response was, Yahweh did it. Was this true? Did Yahweh do it? Did Yahweh cause Job's misfortune? Let's look at Job 2, verse 7. Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. The first 2 chapters of Job make it clear Yahweh was not the one who caused Job's calamity. Satan caused the calamity. Yes, Yahweh allowed Satan to do it, but Satan was responsible for Job's calamity. So, does it matter that Job blamed God for something God didn't do? Does it matter if we blame God for something God didn't do? If life goes awry and we blame God when God is not the cause, is that a problem? Let me answer these questions this way. What if someone wrongly blames you? Do you like it when people blame you for something you didn't do? People generally don't like being blamed for something they didn't do, and I suspect God doesn't like it either. Here's the point. We have limited knowledge. Just as Job had no idea what had happened in heaven between God and Satan and why his life had gone awry, so too we really don't know what God and Satan are doing or not doing at any given time. When calamity strikes us, it may be God or it may not be God. We really don't know. Since we really don't know, then when hard times come on us, we should be careful what conclusions we draw about who is causing our problems. Just as we don't like being blamed for something we didn't do, I doubt God likes being blamed for something he didn't do.